Welcome to the third floor, crawlers. You'll be choosing your racing class for the rest of your stay here, so choose wisely. There are a lot of options, so be sure to get your game guide's help with the decision before moving. Oh, you've already chosen the Podcast Aficionado. This class gives you the benefit of +1 to emotional synchronization with other listeners, +2 resistance to rage bait, -2 hours of your time, 30% chance to write a podcast review, and 100% chance of it being read on the podcast. Have fun with that.
Welcome back to Between Pages and Friends, a book club podcast hosted by Con and Lauren, two besties who read a lot of books, and Jon and Kyle, their gamer-turned-reader husbands who've agreed to read with them. I'm Con.
I'm Jon.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Lauren. Today we are discussing the start of the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series called Carl's Doomsday Scenario. We'll specifically be talking about chapters 1 through 9. This book club podcast is a safe space to read along with us, spoiler-free. Since we have now finished book 1, there will be spoilers there, but none for any future chapters or books.
And if you want to show your support and get some extra goodies, join our Patreon. All tiers give you access to our Discord where you can talk with us about our episodes in spoiler-filled and spoiler-free chats. $5 a month opens the door to live events, our book club, reading challenges, and the full archive of past content. And $10 a month, you'll enjoy early ad-free episodes, merch discounts, voting privileges, a private hangout space, and even more ways to connect with us.
And now, a message from a listener like you. Here's a recent 5-star review on Apple Podcasts from our new bestie, Lana J. Bird, titled, "Love These Nerds." Nerd emoji. I'm wrapping up the TOG series, and I've heard how good KOA is, and while reading it, I wanted to savor every chapter. This podcast is checking every box. I feel right at home listening along with Con and Co. I love the pronunciation guide, the banter, and the cry counter. I totally feel like I have a book club to read along with. Thank you. That's the fire heart emoji,
Cute.
the buck deer
The stag.
emoji,
Yeah.
the stag emoji, and a castle emoji. Very nice.
Cute.
Thanks, Lana J.
Good use of
Bird.
emojis.
Aw. Yeah.
If you want a little shout out on the pod like that one, we'd love for you to write a quick review for our show on Apple Podcasts or Audible. It helps new listeners find us and makes us feel super special.
Don't look now, it's Con's Declassified Fantasy Pronunciation Guide, the part of the show where we highlight all the new names and places mentioned in this chapter section. Thank you for closing your eyes. In characters today, first up, we have 2 RIPs. The first is to the dead crawlers, Carl and Donut, found in chapter 6. This was Grace, Nika, and Leah Bautista. And also RIP to Princess Chonkalot, Donut's dead grandmother and Bia's childhood cat.
So 4,
I
actually.
said Bia. Yeah. Shut up. Featured on the remaining signs for Grimaldi's World of Freaks were the Overcity's fattest woman, Garth, the two-headed troglodyte. Nope. The two-headed troglodyte, Tiny, the amazing fire-breathing. Shut up. I can hear you laughing from upstairs.
Oh my God, have you been drinking? That was hilarious.
Two-headed troglodyte.
The two-headed troglodyte.
Okay, Minnie, don't make me cry laughing in the middle of the guide. Okay. The Overcity's fattest woman, Garth, the two-headed troglodyte, Tiny, the amazing fire-breathing gnoll, Zarina Signet, and her amazing battle squad. Zarina is a half naiad, half high elf summoner, son of the high elf King Finian, a fairy class NPC. From the recap episode in this chapter section, we get some character names and descriptions. We had Hecla of Brynhild's daughters, now an Amazonian shield maiden, a man who turned himself into a massive slug, a woman who turned herself into a four-armed blue-skinned replica of the Hindu goddess Kali with a class called Kabaddi Raider. Lucia Mar is now a Laja Bless, aka a full-grown adult woman half of the day, and Lady Skeletor for the other half of the day. Gordo, the Babka Protector, was in this section. Scolopendra was supposedly the monster at the bottom of the volcano, but we don't have that confirmed yet. And then we meet Heather, the roller skating bear, the level 19 neighborhood boss. In species, Mordecai is now in the form of an incubus, level 50. Incubi are the male counterparts of the infamous succubus, smooth, seductive, and deadly, only found on urban levels of the dungeon. Carl is now a primal, aka a blank slate. He looks the same as before and loses 1 level for all base stats up front, but now has higher tier skills unlocked and able to train to 20. Night dwarves are short, squat, purple-skinned little people. Lurks elves are tall, thin... Why am I not remembering how to pronounce this very normal animal?
That would be a gazelle.
Gazelle.
That's a Giselle.
What am I? What just happened to my brain? Sorry.
Have you been drinking?
Apparently. Lurks elves are tall, thin, gazelle-like fighters. Coal engines are monstrous rock creatures with molten centers. Intellect hunters are a finger-sized parasitic worm creature that can take over the bodies of any creature they kill, though the bodies would immediately start to rot. Former circus lemurs, once Grimaldi's amazing juggling lemurs, now some sort of crazed demonic knife-throwing lemur of decay. Terror the Clown, the once affable stilt clowns, have been transformed into 11-foot-tall, bloodthirsty monstrosities with splotchy, bone-white skin, no eyes or nose, a red, tooth-filled mouth that's much too large, and extra-long arms that hang almost to the ground. You're welcome for reliving that one. Mold lions, formerly Madame Kiki's dancing lions, now transformed by the spores of Scolopendra and the vine. Then the Divine Guardian. This is from the recap episodes footage of a previous season. One of the behemoths of the 12th floor, a country boss guarding a fire gate, aka an entrance to the 13th floor. And lastly, Blood and Ink elementals, summoned minions of Czarina Signet. In world building this week, we got a little download from Mordecai on the primals. He said the primals were the first known species to conquer the universe, the boogeymen of the cosmos. Nobody knows what they looked like or anything about them other than that they spread across the galaxy and then vanished. We can see remnants of a great war that spanned all corners of the galaxies, but if they were fighting a species other than themselves, we don't know who they were. It is said that one day they will return, and some systems worship them as gods. In our Grimaldi lore, Grimaldi's traveling circus was one of the Overcity's favorite attractions before that fateful day hundreds of years ago. Now the feral and transformed descendants of that circus still stalk the ruins. And the last thing I have for you today is that Carl and Donut get a random skill potion that gives Donut the Scuttlephily skill and Carl the Sestapunta skill, though we do not get definitions for either of those yet. Kyle?
Excellent. I only have one thing for my field guide this week. As they're choosing their racing class with Mordecai, we hear the term subclass. We've talked about racing class in earlier episodes, them being basically what you are and what you do, respectively. Subclass could be thought of as a specialization within the umbrella of your class. An example would be if you chose a rogue class, you might have a subclass for thief, being a sneaky rogue, assassin being a deadly rogue, or a trickster being a con man rogue. But yeah, that's all for my field guide. I don't know why I almost suffocated in that sentence.
That's all for my field guide.
All right, time to get into our recap. Chapter 1, it's time for race and class selection, baby. They're greeted by Mordecai, now an incubus, described as the Giga Chad of the Overcity. Just top-notch description. Donut is up first and immediately sticks with Kat as her race. They go over some of her class choices, and she ultimately picks the former child actor class. After all this, we get some backstory about what Audette advised them, which was to pick this class, knowing that it would upset Mordecai because of the manager benefit, but ultimately make it look like it was a mistake and that it was all Donut's idea. So their plan worked, and they now get Mordecai able to pop up in every safe room that they visit, and he seems to be not quite as regulated in what he can tell them as he used to be, all of which should be very helpful. Chapter 2, now it's Carl's turn. He reads through the AI recommended choices, but eventually finds one called a primal, which among some effects to stats and some skill building, he gets to keep his current race at least. He asks Mordecai about primals, and we learn that they were the first known species to conquer the universe, but not much is known about them outside of that. And Carl chooses primal as his new race. He goes through a few options for his class and eventually chooses Compensated Anarchist, described as a monk rogue hybrid adept in trap and bomb making and as a social media dynamo. He gets a bump in several trap and bomb related skills, a few stats, and some other buffs. The catch with this one, though, is that it's going to take a lot of legwork in order to level up the skills necessary to make it worth it. Once all is said and done, they review their new stats, Carl realizing how much work that he'll have to do to get his new class up to speed. Mordecai suggested that they're now going to need to make a lot of money also to get rolling. He presents Carl and Donut as they make their way into the Overcity. Chapter 3. Mordecai proceeds to give an overview of the city, a tradition of Dungeon Crawler World appearing every 3 levels. There's tons of villages across an abandoned city. All the NPCs/civilians are engineered by the Mudskippers. He also explains the ruins, just old rotting buildings with a whole storyline of the existence of the city, and that they're basically sitting on top of a volcano, with every 3rd floor being a volcano floor, essentially. Safe rooms and restrooms are still scattered about, but guild halls are only in the villages. He tells them about a certain village that they should make their way to do some better shopping, and that monsters in this floor will be harder. Definitely don't be out at night, and he gives them a few other pieces of advice before he saunters off toward a pub. Chapter 4. Carl and Donut head off out into the ruins, all of their socials now in the trillions, and they get a message from Zev about how their race and class is going over so far, and that they'll be getting on another show about halfway through the floor timer. Then they get ambushed by circus lemurs. They get a new quest line pop up as well, and as they chat Mordecai about it, the guy's already drunk and useless. As they make their way to the closest safe room, they continue to be chased by the lemurs and a giraffe full of them, and they come to face with Terror the Clown, that Carl describes as basically a clown Slender Man. They seriously F this thing up in quick order and make it to the safe room without being followed. The beds and food now cost money, and as they settle in, Mordecai gets teleported in, pants down, clearly in the middle of something nefarious, and after quickly pulling up his pants, vomits and passes out. Chapter 5. We see that Mongo has now leveled up to 3 and grown much larger. They get some achievements and open some loot boxes, one being their Earth box that they both receive from their class choice. They each get a Earth Hobby Potion, which they each drink. Donut gets, how do you say it again? Scuttlifily?
Yeah, you nailed that.
Nice. Donut gets Scuttlifily, and Carl gets Sestapunta, without any further explanation or description whatsoever. Donut also gets a really cool skill called Clockwork Triplicate, which spawns 2 mechanical-like copies of a pet/minion, which she tests on Mongo. Then they decide to explore the area a bit until Mordecai wakes up. They head towards some crawler X's on their map as they sneak up and take out a few lemur sentries. Chapter 6. They make it to the crawler corpses plus 1 tree-like creature, and they loot a few items that give both Carl and Donut some stat increases, and they go to check out the circus. They take cover in a nearby building while they scope it out. There's a lot of activity going on, creatures bringing out what look like some kind of outer defenses and some other contraptions. They spy some signage of some of the quote-unquote attractions of the circus, one of them being Serena Signet and her amazing battle squad. However, her sign was marked out with a wanted warning, claiming her as a traitor. They finally get a message from Mordecai, and he tells them to hightail it back once he finds out where they are. All of the creatures have kind of started to head back to the circus. It's starting to get dark, and they have to sneak back strategically so as not to be seen. They make it to a clearing when they're blasted by a magic mortar from the defenses of the circus. They take cover in a building that ends up getting blown up, collapses down into a lower floor. Donut puddle jumps them out of the hole, only to come face to face with none other than Serena Signet, who we now learn is a level 60 elite. Thankfully, a white dot for now, but she charms all 3 of them, with Mordecai quickly stepping in to help them break the spell and Carl's growing affection. Carl takes stock of the situation, trying to get away quickly as Signet spreads her arms, tattoos moving, Carl looking to the map of red dots beginning to pop up all around them. Chapter 7. Signet tasks Carl with keeping these mold lions off of her while she summons her quote-unquote battle squad, as he catches a glimpse of a few stalking toward them on the rooftops. Mold-covered lions with wormy tentacle manes. Gross. Carl explains to Donut the plan just in time for them to pounce, and to give a brief summary, he throws down his protective shell that they all bounce off of. They kill one. She uses her second chance spell to reanimate and kill a few more, and then she uses Clockwork Triplicate on another to basically finish off the rest. Signet comes out of her trance only for them to find out, as Carl suspected, that her spell was already cast. She was just waiting on Carl to get a mortal wound to drain all of his blood to summon her squad. They agreed to meet her back on the street the following night to get some more answers about the circus and all this stuff going on. They head back to the safe room where Mordecai fills them in on elites and basically how now that they've reached this floor that there are basically a ton of other storylines happening all at once. He explains it much like a bunch of new seasons of different TV shows starting at the same time, and how there are writers and producers who spend a lot of time making these happen, so they probably shouldn't get too involved because they have stake in the story to see it succeed, which doesn't play in favor of the crawler at all. The recap comes on and they get to see a couple of the other crawlers and what they ended up choosing, seeing themselves as part of the highlights, the most interesting being Lucia. Mordecai orders them to sleep and tells them that they'll be doing everything he says the following day. Chapter 8. They wake to Gordo the Babka, no longer swindled by Donut's charm thanks to Mordecai, but he did so he could rummage around the kitchen to find a newsletter that Babkas received from corporate. Mordecai also steals some herbs to give to them, and he finds out from the newsletter that apparently there's a big battle planned for the area, which probably has to do with Signet, and that they should leave the area very quickly. Carl gets a message from Brandon. Their class process has been going slow since most of the older residents have needed to switch race to basically save themselves. It's been like a whole process, and some, he said, have even gotten quite powerful. Carl asks if he knows what their new random skills are, just to hopefully get some answers from somebody. They head out eventually, but are immediately incapacitated, stunned, paralyzed, and knocked unconscious. Carl wakes up on a couch, full gear and health still, but Donut and Mongo nowhere in sight. He calls out for Donut, but does eventually see Mongo's orange dot on the map close by. Carl figures that he's been unconscious for about 15 hours as he gets a few achievements and quickly realizes that this is Signet's doing. She wasn't too happy about them trying to skip town after saying they'd meet her, so she captured them so they could fulfill their promise to help her with the assault on the circus. But Carl will be by himself. She's using Donut as collateral with a spell called Water Lily, and if Signet dies, so does Donut. She lets Carl see Donut and Mongo before they leave. He tries to pick her up, but her health starts to plummet. He sets her down and builds almost like a little contraption around her just for some minor protection, and orders Mongo to stay to protect her. Signet leads Carl out to the street where she explains what happened to Grimaldi during the whole cataclysm and the circus and why she attacks the circus every night. And then she orders Carl to kill Heather, a seriously effed up circus bear, in order to summon her squad. And again, a great opportunity to be like, what did I just read? Chapter 9, music begins to play as our level 19 neighborhood boss, Heather the Bear, finally wakes up, getting her bear-ings on her skates, letting those little noodle worm finger claws grow as we get Book 2's first Boss Moji battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Boss Moji battle.
Yeah, all right. Like the circus guy juggling? I didn't even know that was an emoji.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Parentheses, bear and a unicorn in parentheses.
Oh.
Worm, a hand, a roller skate, a worm, leg, speech bubble, waving hand, mason jar, fire, parentheses, bear, and a flashlight in parentheses. Okay. All right. Worm, like the green vomit face, ticket,
Fair.
the ink splotch or ink splat thing, a caterpillar, bear, praying hands, sigh of relief face, question mark, boxing glove, foot, little single tear sad face, and a gravestone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
and that's Heather. It's Boss Moji battle.
Boss Moji battle.
And Carl now has a solo boss battle under his belt. Signet wastes no time as she gathers Heather's blood to her, and it's not long before her squad is amassed, shocking Carl as he looks upon what are basically giant paper copies of all Signet's different monster tattoos, but apparently still very powerful. Mordecai explains a bit about this and the spell that she used. They begin to make their way toward the circus, different monsters of her small army taking out mold lions, lemurs, and the mortar fire. Signet herself even shooting bolts of yellow lightning into the circuits. At one point, Mordecai reaches back out, claiming that he found the recipe that Carl had him looking for, which negates all Naiad sleep effects and curses for Donut, but the main ingredient they can't get to right now. Carl also hears back from Zev, apparently getting with the producers about any help that they can provide, but they're waiting to see how this all turns out. They break through a few of the outer defenses of the circus and make it to the big top in the center. Hoping that Heather's blood was strong enough, Signet still can't break through the magical defense of the tent. Carl must go inside and destroy the beams holding up the tent to bring the tent down, at which point Signet and her army can finish things off. So Carl selects a big top ticket in his inventory and prepares to head inside.
What a crazy few chapters.
Wow.
What
I
a
do feel
start
like
to the book.
there's more of a string there though than the last book being sort of just like a everywhere all at once sort of thing. Yeah,
There is a string.
there is a string.
All right,
Start
chapter
that string,
1.
Lauren.
Chapter 1. My first note, like literally the first word, was just that I love that this book feels almost like we just started a new chapter more than it was that we started a whole new book. Like there was no time jump. There was no like catching us up on information that happened in the first book or any of that. It just like the story just continued. And I'm just a huge fan of that. Like authors who listen to this podcast. I'm a big fan of that and would read your book.
No time jump.
Yeah. But also, you know, like sometimes you start a book and it's like, you know, something donut, my girlfriend's ex-cat, you know, or like it just like gives those little tiny explanations
Girlfriend's
and things.
I mean, it is her ex-cat, I guess.
Kinda, yeah.
Technically.
Carl
No, but you know what
catnapped
I
her.
mean?
Yes, yeah.
Or like,
It, like, redefines
Mordecai,
everything.
and it just like reintroduces things or what happened and gives
Or
a
jumps
recap
3 years in the
almost.
future.
Yeah.
And how could you even really recap book one in a concise manner?
Well, yeah, but even just introducing characters again or whatever
Yeah.
happened. So, it just feels like we just kept reading the same exact book, but obviously
Yeah.
it's book 2.
Yeah.
So anyway,
My note is a little less deep. It's just Mordecai's hot now. He's an incubus.
Yeah.
Little devil daddy Mordecai.
Devil Daddy.
Devil
Hey.
Daddy. Wow.
Mordecai.
I said Mordecai's a bad boy now? What?
I'm here for
Yeah,
it.
put some art of him in there.
Yeah,
But I
some
should
good,
post
some
again.
good, some good art in there.
Yeah.
Is that something in his pocket? Anyway, I mentioned this in the recap, but when the AI describes the incubi as the Giga Chad of the Overcity, I absolutely lost it. I thought that was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then it describes that the Overcity is an urban level of the dungeon, and I did not know that was a thing. I was so excited for that.
Yeah, pretty cool. And then, Mordecai tells Carl to take a seat, and it says, I sat in one of the chairs. Mongo jumped into my lap and squeaked, sounding concerned. And I was like, oh, I love little Mongo. It's like a little pet. Just hops up, gets cozy. And then Donut says, you hang out with Uncle Carl for a few minutes while I get some work done. And I went, Uncle Carl? I loved it. It was so funny.
Oh, it's funny.
So cute.
I also highlighted in this little section when Mongo jumps in his lap where he says, I suddenly felt uncomfortable having that many teeth so close to my crotch. And I was like, oh, that's valid. He's been biting noses and whatever else. So funny. Then we get this whole little scene of Donut choosing her race in her class. It is iconic in the only way that Donut knows how to be, and the way they use it to, I guess, trick Mordecai into becoming their game guide and everything is pretty good. So I highlighted a bajillion things, but I only put a couple of my favorite moments from all of that. And one was whenever Carl said, so help me God, I will abandon you right here and right now if you choose to take up the kazoo.
Shout out Kazoo Keepers
Hey.
2014.
See us on tour, never. For those who don't know, Connor and I were in a kazoo band called the Kazoo Keepers. There's more story there,
Briefly.
but you know,
It's pretty short.
another day.
I was gonna say that pretty much covers
No.
it, right? Like you really
That's pretty much it.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Back to Dungeon Crawler Carl. Let's circle back here, friends. Donut did not take up the kazoo. The other things that I liked here was Mordecai yelling, "God damn it, Donut," and then Donut saying, "Mordecai, dear, that's Carl's line." Iconic. And then just the fact that Donut's class is titled Former Child Actor. I don't.
Amazing.
I mean, there's nothing else that would
literally
be
what she
worthy
is.
of her. Yeah,
Pretty much.
very funny.
That's true. I was trying to figure out, like, at the end of the last book, when Audette says the stuff about somebody being really mad, like, I was so confused. And then Mordecai explains that he's the manager. He's the manager benefit. And from now on, he said, for the remainder of your time in this godforsaken place, I will instantly teleport to any safe room you are in. And Donut goes, yay! And he goes, no, not yay. I'm so sad for him. But I was like, oh, no, he's so mad. He's really, really mad. Poor guy. He
Well,
was
and
so
then Carl
happy at the end of
tells-
the last book.
And then Carl tells Brandon and Anne to do the same thing with their game guide. Like if they see,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
almost like a little trick, I
was
guess, that they're playing.
Another instance of the narration being amazing, like the way that he had Mordecai say, "God damn it, Donut!" Like it was perfect.
Yeah, and as like toward the end, once she picks this, and we see that like obviously Mordecai's a little upset. We kind of see that flashback a little bit of their dialogue with Audette and her telling them about the manager benefit. And I was like, so she basically advised them on how to get Mordecai into their party. And like I said in my recap, it sounds like he would be able to tell them a little bit more because it said that it's based on his memory now. So he basically, if he remembers something, he can tell them. But apparently he's also an alchemical genius, so they got that going for him too, which is huge. So huge
Yeah, 'cause
advantage.
There was one time that he started saying like, "I can't tell you ... and then he proceeded to tell
Yeah,
them all
he's
the
like,
things
"Oh,
because
yeah."
he was like used to it. But then another time that Carl asked a question and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's hard to do this without my checklist." Like, so it's
Yeah.
like a weird mix of he has to remember it, but also he's more free to say whatever. So
Yeah, he's become even like less politically correct because I noticed in one time he just calls the Morton Corporation the Mud Skippers, which previously
No.
they were like, yeah, don't say that to them, but now it's like, yeah, they're the Mud Skippers.
well, and he can like go out and be part of the world and everything too. So
Yeah, yep. He's
Yeah.
enjoying
he's in the
that.
game.
Part of the world. And so once both Donut and Carl pick and he kind of like presents them as they go to the Overcity, he says, "You are now Princess Donut, the level 13 former child actor cat. Welcome to the third effing floor." And I was like, what a title. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. So good. And that takes us into chapter 2. Carl's now going through stuff. And the AI says that remaining human would add +2 to all base stats. And I was like, okay. It was like, for a first time class upgrade, that's actually pretty good. So it was like the fact that he skipped it, I was like, wow, okay. And then we get to the Sasquatch description. +3 to bash, +3 to smush, -3 to intelligence, whatever, -1 to charisma, +6 to strength, +6 to constitution, +2 dexterity, and unlocks a higher tier smush skill. I was like, man, this is tempting. I was like, woof. Maybe go for the Sasquatch. It was like, he would be a quite formidable opponent if he picked that one. But, you know, kind of tough to choose the physical appearance of a Sasquatch. So,
Yeah, I'm very glad he did not
yeah.
become a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would feel about that for the rest of the book.
Yeah.
But I think in this description too, Mordecai kind of gives like a look, and Donut just her only explanation for this is the AI loves Carl's tootsies.
Yeah, I love that that was like one of his main options.
Right.
Like, here you go. John and I were both really excited, though, that Carl chose Primal as his race. We had talked about it a little bit in real time, but I'm excited to see what this means for him throughout the rest of the dungeon.
Yep.
Sounds cool.
And so he ends up choosing Primal, and then he gets into his classes. Under the description for compensated anarchist, it was going through the description. This monk rogue hybrid class is a trap-making, bomb-making social media dynamo. I was like, immediate yes, dude. Like, that's what we're doing. No question about it.
Yeah, but then further down in the description, it says access to the Naughty Boys Employment Agency. And I wrote, I'm sorry, what?
That'll be fun, I'm sure.
It's like
Thumbs up.
little things
Can't
like
wait.
that show you that the book does get more ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
just when you think it can't,
Yeah.
it'll
Yep.
drop like a little something like that.
Well, that and like the Desperado Club, where you're like, yeah, I guess I have access to it. I have no idea what it is yet.
We were talking this week, and I said to John, I was like, Matt really wasn't playing around in the last book at the end, where he was like, the next one's got clowns and dead hookers in it. And I was like, we got right into the clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't wait for some
Well,
dead
just
hookers.
you wait.
he keeps his promises, if anything.
What a thrill.
Yeah. And then they're kind of reviewing all of their stats after they've made all the changes and stuff. And Donut's ending stats left her with a charisma of 70. And I was like, oh my God, that is crazy.
It's working on me.
Yeah, for real.
Love her. Love everything about her.
True.
Obviously, all of her stats. I feel like this whole book, there's so many of those little moments where it's like, and my stat points are now this, and it just kind of lists it all, or here's all my spells. And in the like Kindle, it shows that a lot of people have highlighted that, and so I'm like, oh, I guess I should highlight it too, because I guess this is important. But like none of it actually stays in my brain for like later stuff. But the two that I did highlight myself in this little section for Donut specifically was the fact that she got the 9 lives benefit and the cockroach skill, because I am so worried about her and her low constitution and health and everything. So I was like, okay, good. Maybe she'll be okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then we get into chapter 3 after they've both exited and been introduced to the city, and immediately Mordecai in his incubus form is having to like scare off these girls who are crowding around trying to get a better look at him. It just says that he growled at them and they scattered giggling. I just thought that was really good.
I would giggle too.
He growled, excuse me.
Scattered giggling.
Excuse me.
Did we all of
If
a
a
sudden start
bad
reading a
boy
romantasy?
growled at me, yeah.
What a genre shift.
Yeah, enjoy it when it comes by in these books, because
Short-lived.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just going to change into something else on the next floor or whatever. So, and then this really helped me, this one sentence, because they were talking about just like the design of the dungeon and the floor itself, and just kind of Mordecai was giving Carl and Donut just like an overview of whatever was going on. And in my brain, the fact that all of this whole crawl exists underneath the earth that I am currently standing on just does not compute in my brain for some reason. Like the size, or I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. So Mordecai said that this floor, which is floor 3, is probably the size of the state of Arizona. So about 300,000 square kilometers. And I was like, okay, the state of Arizona. I can picture that, I think. Just thinking, I don't know. My brain is just not computing this whole underneath my world 18 floor dungeon thing. But,
Yeah.
you know.
I think it's crazy too that like the entire world currently fits in something the size of Arizona with all the NPCs and stuff made.
yeah.
Like
That's a
the
great
rest of
point.
human civilization is in something the size of Arizona.
That is actually a really good point. And that is wild. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mordecai gets to talking kind of about the area as he continues, and is just talking about the Overcity. And Carl asks him, what's the next level down? And Mordecai says, for you, the 4th level is just a random dungeon level, same with the 5th. But the 6th floor is also part of this Volcano City storyline. And my gears were turning here, so I was like, okay, so they get a volcano floor every 3, then, I'm assuming. And I wrote, if my calculations are correct, that would mean I suspect that Big Volcano Boss Man is basically like the final boss of the whole thing at floor 18, which means that they'd be on a volcano floor on floor 9, which seems super inconvenient, or now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not, but with like the Blood Sultanate and our boy Carl's little piggy on floor 9. But maybe being in the Overcity will actually kind of help them in the long run, especially if they have like I'm assuming something like that compared to a regular level will be more beneficial because of like the villages and stuff. So that's what I'm thinking there. But I just thought it was interesting that it broke up the volcano floor. So that just kind of got me thinking a little bit. But yeah, and then they head out into the ruins after Mordecai kind of goes through, and he's like, head toward the next village. You'll get some better shops and all that stuff there. And then they head out. It says, wandered out into the streets, leaving the safety of the village behind. And I just thought this was so interesting how it's all set up. I got some more thoughts and like my thoughts and
Theories?
my thoughts and stuff at
Thoughts
the
and-
end. I
thoughts
have
and
more
thoughts.
thoughts
For
on my
thoughts?
thoughts
Whoa.
later about that. But very interesting build here. I like it. And that takes us into chapter 4. And they finally hear from Zev. And she says, by the way, I checked and no VIP crawlers are nearby as far as I can tell. I'd avoid adding any of the close by locals to your party. They're all too boring. And I wrote, I'm generally confused by why they would do this anyway. So I asked Kyle if he had any insight on like, I guess the reason why she would mention this, if you can tell us, of like adding locals to their party.
I think just going based off what she said, thought it was too boring. Sort of like in the last floor, she was saying that this whole save the old folk storyline, everyone thinks you're being stupid and dumb,
Oh, yeah.
and it's boring
Okay.
to watch. So she didn't want like his views and therefore her job to suffer because of it. But also based off survival, maybe like crawlers are, I would think, the most dangerous to approach, especially given what they've already experienced with Frank Q and Maggie Mai, and like who knows what these crawlers had been told by their game guide and how they'd react to someone else.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
But even local NPCs, if we're talking about like
Yeah, they're just like
all the
adding
circus
those.
stuff,
Oh,
and he's
NPC.
working with the one right
Yeah.
now to take down the circus, whatever her name is,
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Signet or whatever.
yeah,
So like they
don't
could
know.
technically add her to their party.
I think it's
I mean,
just
they're at
the
least
same
working
thing as
together.
because even Mordecai's technically an NPC in the game. Like that's what he's
Oh,
labeled
yeah,
as,
that's
is a
true.
non-combatant guildmaster NPC. And these
And the Meadowlark group
NPCs
wasn't-
have been like created by Borant, so I feel like
Yeah.
they're maybe a little bit more in depth than the previous floor. And like, yeah, maybe they could recruit or whatever, but she's just saying like, yeah, don't even waste your time.
All right.
I mean, the
Yeah, that makes
Meadowlark
sense.
group wasn't in their party, but they worked
True, yeah.
together,
Yeah, true,
and that
yeah.
storyline still affected them or whatever. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes. And after they try to ask Mordecai about the side quests, I wrote, I must be obsessive about side quests because I'd be doing that in a heartbeat. Like, as soon as they said a quest popped up, and I was like, this clearly is not part of the main storyline, but I immediately want to do it, like, whatever it is. This was even before we ran into, like, some of the
Yeah.
other creatures and all that kind of stuff.
I'm the same way in any game.
Yeah.
Always make sure nobody has an exclamation point above their head before I move.
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, I feel that.
I love that sometimes in like romantasy books and stuff, we're like, oh, they're just like on all these like side quests. Like, what are these characters doing? But if you call it a side quest and give them the option to go on it or not, yeah,
Don't mind if I
shiny
do.
object. Let's go on
It's
the
probably
side
like
quest.
a loot box or something. Like you're getting something out of that.
Yeah.
It's like a
Reward.
promised reward or whatever.
You want to build up
Yes.
all your items and
If-
everything.
if
before
in
you
my
store
life-
it.
all my stupid little errands were called side quests and it had a guaranteed reward, you better bet I'd be living a higher life right now because I'd be
That's
completing
why
all these.
That's why I get myself a little treat when I go
Yeah.
do errands. It's the reward for the side quest.
Indeed.
That's what it is.
That's what I agree completely.
Right.
I was
Thank
also the
you.
kid who was like, if I get past this homework problem, I'm eating another Skittle. Like, it was very, like every single question. I was like, we can get through this.
Uh-huh.
Whatever works.
Yeah. But then I highlighted this whole scene was so crazy with like the lemurs and all this stuff going on. And then it says a goddamn giraffe ran down the street at us. And I said, this is starting to sound like The Good Place. It's like episode 1, I think, maybe episode 2, when the giraffes show up. This is exactly that, except a lot more violent.
The giraffe sent me. I was not ready for the giraffe at all.
Should always be ready for the draft.
Always.
Come on. There was a line in here that said, for the giraffe that it bent, then flipped its neck, flinging a dozen of the lemurs into the air at our direction. And all I pictured was that one meme of that weird seagull that, like, everybody... It like rips its neck back and it screams, and everybody will put like funny words with. Anyways, I put a gif of that in the script here or whatever. But that's how I picture that giraffe in that moment.
As a seagull.
Yeah. Yep. And instead of screaming, it was like
when you say giraffe, here's what I picture. I put in some of the official art of the giraffe with lemurs crawling over its neck. This is from the audio immersion tunnel. One of our mods in the Discord
Smoking
is listening
a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of our mods in our Discord, Ashley, is listening to the audio immersion, and she posted some of the official art recently in our no spoiler chat. So she might do it again for these episodes.
Yeah. I love this.
So you guys can see it there. And then I also included some fan art of Terror the Clown.
Yay!
Yay!
It's actually not as bad as I initially kind of pictured, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think because it doesn't have anything around it to show how tall it is, it doesn't. Okay. It seems like a normal human size or whatever. Okay. But I think if you saw it next to someone else and saw how big it was,
well, picture it just like behind you right now, and then
stop. I hate you. I literally had to look at my own camera to make sure there was nothing behind me in the reflection. I hate that. This is also, I record in our bedroom, and so I have to sleep in here later. That's terrifying.
You said he's slouchy.
Yeah, he's a little slouchy. When I picture Slender Man, I don't picture him kind of slouching, you know?
Slender Man, I have always pictured for sure with like the best posture of any monster.
Excellent posture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you'd look at him for a moment and be like, "What a dapper gentleman!" Before you die.
Like he obviously took piano lessons as a child.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not just a suit; it's a
guarantee that you have excellent posture because I don't. But I did in college. I don't know what happened. Became a graphic designer, I guess.
That's funny.
I just sit like a shrimp all the time.
Yeah, the kids make fun of me for my posture at the piano all the time. So, can't do that.
Well, now you can show them this photo. And
just
anytime they mention it, just put it up on the projector.
Let me introduce you to Terror the Clown.
No, I'm going to put a picture of Slender Man up there and be like, have posture like Slender Man. That's the goal. Be a dapper gentleman.
Yeah. Like how teachers do a theme for their classrooms. Yours could be American Cryptids.
Perfect.
I think that will inspire the best kind of singing.
Probably.
Yeah.
Next school year. Can't wait.
If there's anything that makes good art, it's drama.
That's so true.
Oh, my God. Okay, well, before Carl calls this Terror the Clown Slender Man, and we get the description, the monster was humanoid, but with splotchy bone-white skin, no eyes or nose, and a red, tooth-filled smile that was much too large. My brain immediately went, the Greendale human being, a.k.a. the Hazrax.
Welcome back to the show, Hazzy.
Honestly, a great call.
And then, he says Slender Man, like, I don't know, a paragraph later, but this is where my mind is. And now this is canon, so.
Wow.
That's funny.
Well, and then they're running off. This is after they kill it, and Carl goes to pick up Mongo, and it says, I realized he got noticeably larger. And that just got me super excited for Mongo. I was like, yes, level him up, baby. He's getting there quick. Let's do it.
He really is. He grew so much in just this first 9 chapters of this book.
Yeah, it said when he was level 3, he was double in size.
And I think we ended it. He's bigger than Donut. So
yeah. I think he's like level 4 or 5 or something, or 6 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe 7. Yeah.
Could be.
Stop. I'm holding back. Okay, then they go into the safe room and Mordecai just appears. And the babka who runs the establishment goes, my good sir, I must ask you to sheathe your sword immediately. This is a family establishment. And I was like, very confused at first. Picked up on it. I'm aware of what happened. But he even says, Mordecai goes, where did the girls and their grandma go? Mordecai. Oh, and then just so that it all stays in one section of this episode, and I'll have to call back to it later, in chapter 6, which I know we're not there yet. But Donut says when Mordecai finally comes to, all caps in chat, you were drunk and you molested someone's grandma.
I have to say, I do love that now first of all, when there's a chat message now, there's like a little noise at the beginning, which wasn't in book 1. And I love that. And then also that it's Donut's voice now for
Yes.
Yeah,
chat
I was
messages.
excited for that.
We talked about that in book 1 because I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
It was not Donut's voice or whatever, because it's like that for the rest of them. And it was just, I don't know. The first time I heard it, I was like, there it is. Now we're here.
The first time I wasn't sure what the noise was because it's like pretty faint. It's like a quick little quiet noise. And then I was like, oh, they added a little chat sound. I love that.
Yeah.
So
As
thoughtful.
if the audiobook couldn't get any better.
I know.
All right. Well, that takes us to chapter 5. They are in the safe room and they are opening some loot boxes. And I just thought this was funny, where Donut receives 3 loot boxes and they appear to be unopened boxes from Amazon.com. And then Carl gets some loot boxes and has things from the Home Depot. I don't know why that's very funny to me. I understand where we are. And I understand where they probably, got the items and all this stuff. It's just when you're in this world and they're literally just fighting this weird demon clown and whatever else, and then you get your Amazon package.
I love it. I was like so sad for Mongo here. Donut's practicing her clockwork triplicate spell, and it said Mongo would peep sadly when the additional Mongos eventually fell apart, and he'd run up to Donut and start screaming, hopping up and down, demanding that she bring them back. And I was like, oh, little buddy, he's so cute. He misses his friends.
Well, and I just wanted to ask, and he sort of answered it earlier, but if either of you Googled the names of their random skill potion results, and if not, do you have any thoughts on what they could be with the Scuttlifily for Donut and Cessanta for Carl?
I did not Google these, only because I didn't want it to ruin the fun of the surprise. I'm hoping that we don't learn about this for like a long time. I hope it just comes back randomly, like books from now. And to the point that like we've all completely forgotten about it. That's my hopes and dreams for this. So I didn't want to ruin it for myself. I am pretty sure, however, cesta in Spanish, I think means basket. So if it's basket weaving, that's pretty hilarious and could potentially be useful at some point. Although the word punta by itself just means like the tip or the point of something. So I don't know if that's accurate, but Scuttlifily, I have no idea.
Okay.
I had no idea, especially for Scuttlifily. At first, because I thought in my head, I was like, oh, scuttlefish. But then I realized that it's cuttlefish. So I was like, well, that's not right. So that's not, there's nothing going in there. But I did highlight like the Cesta Punta, and I think it mentioned in one of the word like definitions or whatever, like in the Kindle, that it's used in Highlight, but I don't see how that could relate to literally anything here.
What is that?
Highlight is a sport. It's like
high and then you lie.
It's like high intensity racquetball.
Oh,
but they have giant. Did you ever play with those toys with like the hook plastic hook catcher as a kid? It's basically like a giant.
Isn't that like lacrosse?
Isn't that like racquetball mixed with lacrosse maybe?
Yeah, it's like a giant things of those with the ball, but it's like really dangerous sport though. Like the court is like really long and massive, but they're in like a racquetball court, so they throw the ball, but it can be like really dangerous.
Yeah, but that's not a craft.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's I think it represents that basket catcher thing.
Oh, got it.
That makes sense. Basket. Is it racquetball itself already dangerous, or is like
probably
I just played at a more high intensity, I guess.
I think it's just because they can literally whip that thing so hard and fast.
Oh yeah, because it's not a racket. It's
you know
a
what I'm saying?
You got the.
Whoa. Do we
They can whip it out at any time.
Yeah, but should look it up. It's spelled. It's very popular, I think, in India, the sport, but it's JAI space ALAI, but it's pronounced Highlight.
that's fun.
It's crazy, but
Wow.
anywho,
Interesting.
Random.
that's what I found.
I'm pretty sure that was the most Kyle-like moment that you ever given on this podcast.
I know, and
You just educated the whole world onto something that no one needed to know.
Been together for 10 years, and I didn't know you knew that.
There you go.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
Yep.
Love of my life.
Well, my note about all of this had nothing to do with any of that. Donut's guess, I put Donut's guess here, where she said it's likely the art of cracking nuts with your toes. And then she turned to the babka. Gordo, darling, get me some walnuts. We need to experiment. And he goes, of course, right away, your majesty.
I love him.
I know. It's amazing.
Oh, well, I highlighted the part here where Mordecai's like out cold, but Carl says it'd be nice if we had someone to ask, and he says it like really loud, and in his POV it says I tried to wake Mordecai earlier but he was out cold, and this is just so sad. Mordecai seemed so happy and like he was cleaning up his space and stuff at the end of book 1, and I was excited for him, and then now he seems like he's so upset about this, maybe that he's just having a hard time, or this is just he's probably not used to randomly being summoned at any time and not being like reset by the game or something whenever he has to see a crawler, or I don't know, but sad for him.
I mean, it was supposed to be his last one if they got to floor 4, and now I don't know, does that change his contract, ? And he has to do another one, or is it, I don't know, but yeah, obviously upset. Well, Donut is talking about Mongo and is, saying how much she'll like protect him and whatever. And Carl says in like a heated moment, he's not your child, Donut. He's your pet. We don't put our lives in danger for our pets. At Saris. And okay, sorry. You don't have to leave that in there.
Catching strays, that book series tonight.
So sorry. Anyways, we don't put our lives in danger for our pets. And obviously then there's like awkward tension and a lot of awkward looks between them, and Carl feels bad through the rest of this chapter. But it ends with him kind of like, saying what they're going to do next. And he goes, sound like a plan, partner? And he kind of like looks at her and she nods slowly. Okay, partner. Like they're almost like apologizing, like, and accepting, and just
So
having that little
sweet.
moment. I know.
Yeah.
This is also kind of funny to me because at my super corporate office, we don't call each other employees. We are all partners. So in every like communication and like meetings and stuff, like we are all, when you refer to your coworkers, you're referring to your fellow partners.
Is your like break room called the corral? And
There actually are the section of
actually?
the office right next to where I sit is where the copywriters sit, and they call it the copy corral.
nice.
I'm
You
in
have
the
a little,
design
like-
dungeon.
Oh, I actually love that.
Do you have a ensuite kitchen with like double swinging doors that you just burst into like a saloon?
Unfortunately, no.
partners.
It's like a self-play piano over there, slightly out of tune.
That always stops when you burst in for a minute and then slowly plays again.
No, we did discover though our cubicles are so old that they're like they haven't been touched since like the 80s probably, but they're like modular. So we discovered that we could move the section, the wall that like is against my desk, we can move it out, and then the one that's against Sean's desk we can also move out, and then it's like a little door to the design dungeon, and we can just
Do you have to like have a sword or a suit of armor or something to enter the design dungeon? Or
unfortunately no.
Do you
have
call
to
your
wear a suit
superior
and tie.
dungeon master?
No.
Well, bring it
I
up at your
call
next
my-
meeting, maybe.
Nah, we just call
Yeah, it
him
goes
boss. We used to joke about how we were his underlings, but he didn't like
yeah.
that. So
Yeah. Like
call him boss, but then his boss is boss plus or grand boss.
yes.
So yeah.
not
Anyway,
partners.
Premium subscription.
they are technically also partners, but if we refer to them, they are boss and boss plus or
Gotcha.
something similar.
That's fun.
Anyways, some fun
What
tidbits
a life
about
in
corporate
America.
the things we do to keep ourselves entertained. What I was also entertained by, though, was in chapter 6. The AI being an anklet hater cracked me up. In the description of the anklet, it says, it's also an anklet. One would think anklets enhance the beauty of feet like toe rings do, but they are excessive, jangly distractions that make you look too garish. It's like, wow. AI, okay.
He knows what he likes.
He sure does.
A little bit further in the chapter, they're sort of looking at all these faded sideshow character attraction posters that list the Overcity's fattest women, Garth the two-headed troglodyte, and Tin the amazing fire-breathing gnoll. But I wrote Garth, like our Garth. If you're not aware, we have a little ghost named Garth that haunts our podcast.
Our podcast ghost.
Yeah.
Hi, Garth.
I was so excited. I wrote this too. Garth. He's finally here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a while.
It's true.
It has been a while.
Garth, if you're here, scream randomly. We'll see it on the transcript later.
Okay.
Oh, wow, Garth.
It's one of the lemurs.
Kind of a high pitch.
Yes, then they see the poster of Serena, and it has a large circle crossing out the image and the words "Warning, Traitor" written on it. And I was like, ooh, I like the idea of a traitor that might help him like get in there. I was kind of excited about the potential that this could lead to. Yeah.
And I did find some art for Serena Signet. Probably my favorite art I found yet, because it's a GIF and it has her moving tattoos actually moving
That's
across
the
her
reason it's
form.
your favorite. Not the fact that
I
she's
could think of
only in
2
a
or 3
font.
other reasons, I guess, but that's the main one.
2 or 3.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
I just wrote hot, so
I love this. I do like her nails in this little GIF in the
yeah,
fan art.
she does got some
That's
nails.
fun. I can appreciate that.
I like
What
the
I
whole-
highlighted here was, I like her hair too. She got some volume in her hair.
Yeah,
anyway,
she does. Sorry, I got distracted. Let me break my
one
finger
of
real
the
quick.
2 or 3 reasons. What I highlighted here was in Carl's POV. It says, "The woman was decidedly terrifying to look upon, yet I found myself attracted to her. The effect was sudden and almost overwhelming. With horror, I felt myself getting physically excited. I pictured myself pulling the woman into my arms, kissing her on the mouth. I took a step toward her, and I wrote, 'Hey, maybe we'll get some emoji erotica after all, honey.'"
We've all been there, but right, guys? With horror, feeling ourselves getting physically excited.
With horror.
With horror.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I don't know. I feel like we could have got some emoji erotica with
Oh.
this. We get
We
the
might've.
we get the word erection. I feel like we don't even get like an eggplant. We don't get like anything. All right. I mean, you make the rules, I guess. No, Donut does yell in all caps to Mordecai. He had an erection, Mordecai. It was very inappropriate. Mungo is appalled. Iconic. And then Mordecai does say, "There's only one surefire way to break it. You have to fracture your own finger." Of all the things, this whole entire freaking world and dungeon and all this stuff. But sure. whatever.
Yeah, and he just does it. No questions asked. It was so immediate. He's like, "Okay, done." He just
I know.
fractures his own finger. I was like,
And
"Oh,
then even Signet's
okay."
just like, haven't seen that trick in a long time. Like, okay, guess this is common.
I was worried
got
at first
me.
because I'm like, Mordecai's been drunk half this book so far. Like, he could have just been messing with you and you just broke your own finger. I mean, it worked. So there's that. Looking at this gift, though, I do have a question for our listeners. And that is, if you could summon your own army with the tattoos that you have, what would your army be made up of?
Ooh, that is a great question. I would have
Please
zero
answer in the
army.
comments. That's unfortunate.
I would have 0 army. I got 0 tattoos.
Me too.
Mine-
For some reason, my mind immediately went to someone
Oh god.
Oh, no.
who has like a deceased family member's face on them,
Oh no, no.
and how awkward that might be.
Oh, mine would just be flowers. But I got 6 of them now.
yeah.
We're
Yeah, but
we're
they're like
getting
all
there.
like connected,
And the
right?
leaves, right?
It could be like vines
Yeah.
or something.
Oh,
Could be
it
cool.
is like the vine.
You know?
It's me, Grimaldi.
It was me the whole time. John, what would your army be?
I would
Don't you
at
have a
least
shield?
have a sword and a shield.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got
And
something.
some numbers.
Yeah. I don't know if that
Power
would
of math.
technically raise my grandpa, but I have his initials and his dog tag number on my bicep. So
It'd be interesting to see. What those do. I forget what all of hers are animals, right? Or some
Yeah.
Yeah.
beast.
Like
Yeah.
beasts and whatever.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody who has like a tattoo of a former pet, but it was a snake. So she has like a snake tattoo.
Like a snake.
Yeah. Know some people with dragon tattoos. Slither little snake.
Get him.
Go, Web, go.
The people that have like the little beauty mark tattooed on their face just sort of like comes off.
Oh my gosh. Wait, my eyebrows are tattooed.
Your eyebrows are tattooed. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yes.
That'd be good.
Just a bunch of flowers and a couple of
Poisonous
eyebrows.
eyebrows.
If looks could kill.
Yeah, they're just like more dramatic. They stay
Yeah.
around the face and they get angry. Or
Oh, they're
raise
angry
them
now.
up. Give me my angry eyes.
they stick on the enemy and they become poisoned. How do you get these off?
Oh, wow. I look permanently surprised. Yeah. Anyway,
I cannot
Please
wait
tell
to
us in
read
the comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do not disappoint.
please tell us about your army. I think this is the end of the chapter, though, or at least the section where it says the cages of the beasts were all open. I glanced at my mini map, and the red dots appeared one by one in front of us, behind us, and to our sides. And I just wrote, "Oh snap!" I was worried this was going to happen as soon as they started mentioning all of these things. So a little nervous. Chapter 7, we get the description of the mold lions, and honestly, I don't know. This was worse to me than the Slenderman clowns, the mold lions. I don't know what it really did me in, and I put the gif of Kramer doing the like the disgusted shiver on his way out the door.
I did find
I don't know what it was. It grossed me out.
Yeah, I would agree. Only if like decaying things is grosser to me than like the uncanny valley stuff that the clown had, where it's like, oh, you're slightly too tall to be human, but something that is dead and
Slightly.
decaying, I'm like, that's gross. But I did put more of the official art from the audio immersion tunnel in there with Signet and her mold lions.
Yeah. And then Carl, that kills people. He pulled the lion's heart out, punched into its body, and pulled the heart straight out. And I wrote, damn.
And all Carl does is put the heart in his inventory.
Yeah,
Carl.
that made me laugh even more.
Everything goes in his inventory.
Apparently this is like my chapter of notes. I got a lot of notes from this chapter, but in Carl's POV it says, Donut rose the second lion from the dead and downed a mana potion. She then spent 26 points to cast Clockwork Triplicate on the new zombie with the ripped out throat. And I was like, what a combo. I was excited to see the Clockwork Triplicate thing happen in like a battle. I just didn't think about pairing the two, and I'm obsessed with that. She's an icon. She's a legend. But then Signet says, if you'd like to join me for an evening drink, I will regale you with the sad tale of Signet the Bastard and Grimaldi, the man she loved. And I wrote, ooh, a scandal. Hit me with the lore, Signet. I was kind of sad they didn't just like go back and get the story. I want the tea. I mean, I guess they got some of it, but I need more. There's clearly
Still
much
steeping.
more to the story. Still steeping. Yes. Oh, and then Mordecai fills us in on this whole like side quest situation. And he says that your quest with this circus and the Signet woman is a storyline, a drama created for the viewers by a team of writers. It will play itself out whether or not you get involved. It will have its own show and team of people working on that show who have been working on it for a very long time and who will be very protective of it. And I was like, what? What is this like the SNL of the galaxy that like all the writers try to get on the show to like work on their little storylines and like get their skits approved and stuff? I love this.
Yeah.
I imagine it more like dramatic soap operas, or really more like a CW show where, you know, like it's a super serious topic and whatever, but then like the most ridiculous plot twists happen that really don't make sense, but somehow make sense and everybody loves, even though we just accept that it's fact, and, you know, those kinds of a thing.
Yeah. The telenovela.
Yeah. I don't know. Vampire Diaries, something like that.
Basically the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that he like pitches it as like, yeah, Dungeon Crawler World's the most watched event in like the galaxy or whatever. So these shows are literally just meant to run, and people watch them outside of like the Crawler network. Just like, yeah, everybody's watching it, so you can just tune into this part of it. So much so that like if a crawler interrupts, the producer would be like, yeah, kill that guy. He's ruining my show.
Hilarious.
Well, and then that kind of goes back with your your last note with, I will regale you with the sad tale of Signet the Bastard and Grimaldi the man she loved. She can't give the tea on episode 1. Like, they just open the floor.
There's some deep lore there, though. This has been
Yeah.
going on for a long time. I'm
Well,
very
yeah.
excited.
The writers
I'm
have
invested.
been planning it for quite some time, so they're ready for it.
They're literally doing things for the plot.
Literally, yeah.
I'm
for the
so
plot.
excited.
But
Can't
also,
wait.
this is just one example of however many of those exist in all of this. I
Yeah,
just
this is
think
just a
it's
side quest. It's not even the main
is-
thing.
just a side quest. Which also, shout out to Matt Dinniman's brain for coming up with all of this and keeping track of all of this and all the billion
Yeah.
things that are happening. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I think about that often while I'm reading. Like, how did this just come out of his brain? Where did what?
Imagine, so like Kyle's been writing a book for 100 years. He's probably written a chapter. LOL. Just kidding. Love you, Kyle.
Sick
Anyways.
burn. Okay.
Yikes!
But he talks to me about it like all the time and all the this and what ifs and all the stuff. Like I would almost want to interview Matt Dinniman's wife just to see what that's like. to hear all the things that don't even make it into the
To
book.
see how she coped.
I love that. To see how she goes.
How did you get through it?
Tell me your secrets.
It's funny.
Most of how Laura gets through is like, sounds great, go write it.
And because he came the other day too, and I was like, and did you actually write this stuff down? And he was like, yeah, I wrote a little bit of it. And I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you.
I'll have to come into the conversation
did
like,
it.
just so you know, I already wrote this, so I'm just here for opinions.
It's funny.
So when they're watching the recap episode in this section, Mordecai explains that Hecla isn't with the rest of her group as they're watching her because they got together later. And so they have different game guides and they won't be together when they're done choosing their class and race. And Carl says, yikes, that sucks. And then he pats Donut on the head. And in his POV, it says, I was about to say something about how it would suck if Donut and I got separated, but I thought better of saying that out loud. And I wrote, then why would you say it in print, Carl? Now it's going to happen. And I put the gif of the llamas with hats where the one hat, I forget what the llama's name is. That's not Carl, but he's like, Carl.
Well, then it's going through what a couple of the other crawlers picked and their race and class, and it gets to Hecla, and that she chose a shield maiden. And I also wrote here, hot.
And I wrote, this fan art will certainly not change your mind. And I found some art of Hecla as described in her class and race choice.
John's eyes are bugging out of his face right now.
Wow.
Fair.
Fire.
Fair.
Yep.
Proceed.
That's nice.
The helmet is kind of giving Wolverine. Just saying.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, but like in a hot way.
High wings.
Oh, no, it's
yeah.
giving. It's giving.
I'm sorry, are you
Wolverine's
saying
hot,
Wolverine's not a hot way?
No, I'm saying Wolverine is hot.
It's giving
Take that back.
Jane from Thor is what it's giving.
Oh, yeah, a little
yeah, I
bit.
could see that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but hotter.
What?
We
Approved.
can look at it for a little longer if you guys want.
Approve. Okay.
Okay.
And then we get the description of Lucia Marr. It said Lucia had chosen one of the oddest, most effed up races I'd seen so far, a La Jablesse. And the descriptions are a full-grown, beautiful woman half of the day, and the other half she is Lady Skeletor. She also now walks with a limp. Her right leg has transformed into that of a hairy goat, complete with a cloven hoof. And Kyle put in some fan art here, which is why Jon and Con, if you're watching the video, just saw it for the first time and are freaking out.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
pre
is
and
why-
post choice.
Yeah, this is why I think I was so shocked when we heard of Lucia Marr the first time and she was like a child, because I just remembered her as a grown woman, which is what she is from here. And it's just like, I don't know, just remembering that was a very
Yeah,
big
she's
shock for me.
13.
Yeah. This picture, she looks like she's 7. Like she does that
Yeah.
shirt. Yeah,
She looks
Little
and
bit.
this fan art. Yeah. But it's still cool fan art.
For some reason,
sick.
when
Yeah.
first of all, I think her choice is pretty sweet. I love it, but
Agreed.
how it explained how her leg transformed to that of a hairy goat, I literally pictured an entire goat and not just a goat leg.
Like a centaur? Like a centaur
No,
goat?
like
No, just
literally
the one leg.
whole
one
goat.
leg is an entire goat instead of her leg just being a goat leg. I was like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, that is weird. I feel like that's the dungeon's fault, but
Wow.
that's pretty funny.
What a twist if that's what you thought you were getting was just the leg of a goat, but you actually got an entire
A
goat,
whole goat.
like as your leg.
in
Like the
in
worst
place.
kind of. Chimera.
Like from like the like your like half thigh or like knee down. It's just a whole goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be kind of
Just a
funny.
goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it had like its own mind. He's like
Anyway,
constantly
yeah.
like trying to walk away.
It's
No.
it's also a crawler.
Anyway,
Wow. Okay, I had another note that I was really intrigued by here. Signet mentions that Grimaldi had turned into something called a Vinev, which I just realized is not in the pronunciation guide. My bad. But this is, in Carl's POV, led to a long, yawn-inducing conversation with Mordecai about plants and parasites and mind control. And so, okay, Grimaldi is Vecna, and Mordecai knows how important this is. Pay attention, Carl. What? What do you mean? Parasites and plants and mind control? Okay. That's rude of you to
Carl's
just
just bored
leave
out
all
of
of
his
that
mind.
out. Yeah, he's like, whatever, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I can't talk about that anymore. Chapter 8. While Donut slept on the top platform, Mongo curled up at the bottom. This is after Carl puts together the cat tree for Donut. And then he lit the little candle for her, and it said it filled the room with the scent of home. And this is so cute. And also really rude of Matthew to describe all of this cuteness right before Donut inevitably gets separated from Carl because he couldn't keep his thoughts to himself. Carl.
I mean, technically, he did keep them to himself because he didn't say it out loud.
But he
We're in
put
his
it on the
POV,
page.
but okay. So sorry.
of the book he doesn't know he's in.
Yeah, but he's writing it.
But the thing is, like with this book series too, is like how much of his brain is off limits. We don't know because they have like their little mental chats or whatever. But
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. That they have like access to or whatever.
yeah,
Right.
Or
'Cause I mean,
they-
yeah, if it
Yeah.
can literally get in your brain and create a heads-up display in your vision.
Yeah.
Right.
and know what
Like-
your past hobbies were to like
Yeah.
make based on your life or
like,
whatever.
Yeah. Excellent
knows?
point.
Because even before, whenever he was looking at other people and they'd kind of like look a certain direction or, you know, where they were still making plans and having all of those thoughts
Yeah.
Yeah.
and whatever, even though they didn't say it out loud, it's like the same thing. Obviously, it wasn't written for the sake of this plot line
Yeah.
for the book, but I don't know. So, like, while Carl is staring at Donut, it says, I watched Donut for a bit and I could tell what she was doing. She wasn't really asleep. She was just closing her eyes and pretending that she was back home in her favorite spot. And that made me really sad because we don't get Donut's POV. And so we don't really get to see how she's processing going from the cat that she was to the cat that she is, the world as at large, as all the things going on, Miss Beatrice being gone, like so many things that she's also gone through, her relationship with Carl, her feelings about all of it. So just getting little moments like that and seeing her, I don't know, have real emotions or have a real moment, it just makes it so much sadder.
Yeah.
Just, I don't
And
know.
Ferdinand.
Yeah,
Oh,
the candle made it
Ferdinand.
smell like home. Which if it had a little bit more of a descriptor there, we could have had a candle watch. We've not had one of those in a while.
Watch.
But home was always involved usually, but there was
That-
you know
yeah.
a
It's
couple other
usually a
things thrown
person,
in
not
with it.
Not a candle. Yeah.
Yeah, the person felt like home, and we said that should be a candle, not that the candle was home. And we
Okay,
said,
so let's reverse it then. This is a person watch. Whatever smells like home.
Person
sounds like
watch.
Miss Beatrice.
Ugh.
They get a little check-in with Brandon and the Meadowlark group here in the middle of this chapter. And so I just highlighted a couple of the big moments from that conversation where it says Brandon stayed human, Chris and Amani did not. The old people are getting legendary pacifist boxes because they haven't killed anything or even damaged anything. And so now they have this like a ridiculous amount of magic gear and are just going to be totally overpowered, even though they probably can't do anything with it, which is absolutely hilarious. So.
Amazing. This, oh my gosh, this line actually scared me so bad because I was listening to the audio and I had swiped away from the ebook for a second. So I still had my phone in my hand, but I was like, listening to my AirPods. It's like at a moderate volume, I've got both in. And in Carl's POV, it's like, we need to stay as far away from those assholes as you have been stunned, you have been paralyzed, you have been rendered unconscious. And I jumped. That actually really scared me. So I had to include that here. But then freaking Carl, in his POV, yet again, says, Donut, where's Donut? My chest pulled with fear. No, I don't want to be alone. And I wrote, God damn it, Carl. She's talking about being separated from Donut, and now it's already happening. I was actually like really shocked that he had been unconscious for 15 hours when this level's only open for what, 6 days? Was it 6 days for this one or 8?
8 days.
8 days. Still.
Still.
Whew,
6 days now.
that's a long time. Yep. Basically. That is a lot of time.
Yeah. Especially when he was like feeling all this pressure to like level up and do all the training and stuff, and then just to lose all that time. And now it's nighttime again. So yeah. Crazy.
Nighttime. Sorry.
Nighttime.
Just move on. Okay.
Had to finish
Thank
the
you,
loop.
Kyle.
Wow. Anyways, he wakes up on a couch and Signet is there. And she says that all he has to do is just fulfill the promise to, that's her deal. That he has to try. And that's how he can win his life back. She does let Carl see Donut before he leaves, and it says, I reached to pick her up. A health bar appeared in that moment as I lifted her. It started quickly falling. Carl, I would return her immediately to her place. A water lily must not be removed lest it die. And so he puts her back down and the bar goes back up. But knowing how low her constitution is, I wonder how close, like how fast did it actually go down? Like, did Donut literally almost die? Was that the moment that she's probably been the most close to death just from getting picked up in that spell? Like, crazy. And then he builds her like a little house and has Mongo stay to keep her safe.
And then we get into the last chapter of our section tonight and meet Heather the bear, who I also found some nice little art for with her and her little wormy hands, roller skates.
Not the worm hand. Oh, I can't handle the worms. Ugh.
Yeah, that was definitely gross.
Yeah.
My note here was just level 19, and like he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah.
Although he seemed kind of easy, to be honest. But afterwards, I was like, okay, guess it's not as hard as. I
Never
mean,
doubt
she's
the power of custard,
Yeah, the custard. But I think I just think that like the moonshine stuff that he has, I don't know how much he has left anymore. It's just like so overpowered. So like anytime he uses that, it's just game over. Anyway.
Yeah. The worms, once again, really grossing me out because he can hear them when they touch him. They're all different voices in the audiobook. There were like 3 different lines that are all separated in italics. The first one says, yes, this is new flesh, primal flesh, delicious flesh. And then strong he is. Do we taste this? He will feed our clowns well. Thirdly, the clowns hunger primal. They are ravenous, and now they know of your flavor. And they're all different voices. So very creepy in the audiobook and just generally knowing this information.
Gross.
Didn't need to know that about the worms. They were creepy enough as is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt, for that.
Well, and it's sad whenever the custard does fall on Heather. It almost seems like they were the reason she was as wild and crazy as she was. Like it wasn't her. She was inflicted with these, and that would have, I guess, happened to Carl as well. So glad for protective shell and all the things that helped him get out of it. But there was this one funny line that was just in there from Carl's POV that says, now, if you've never had a flaming skull-faced bear on a roller skates barreling towards you at full speed, you don't know what you're missing. I was like, wow, I must be missing a lot. That was very funny. And then, he uses his fireball or custard scratch off, I guess, that he got, and it's custard, and it heals Heather, so... Yay, we did it.
Yay. And this is your reminder, if you haven't dropped your submission yet for what your tattoo army would be like, this is where we get the description of the paper army. It says the monsters moved and blinked and roared, but all of it was confined to the plane on which they had been drawn, which was just wild to read. And it's so cool and random.
Yeah.
Well, it's like just when you think you know what something's going to be, like we knew that her tattoos were going to come alive as these monsters. It's something like this. Actually, just paper.
Doodle Bob.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me hoy.
Me hoy minoy.
Me hoy, me noy,
You too. I don't even know. Oh my God.
It's crazy too, though. Like some of them are like, because I originally thought like, oh, they're gonna come to life. Maybe they're summoned beasts. Did not think that one of them would be a 3-story tall thing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, or like talking. Didn't one of them talk?
Yeah, the
ogre.
The ogre. Yep.
3-headed ogre.
Crazy.
Just the middle head, though.
Yes, of course.
I mean, ogres
The
are like
spokesman.
onions, so
Yeah.
maybe we'd get to the other two eventually.
Maybe.
If we gave it time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Carl starts moving towards the big top, and this line just made me laugh where he said, I tried to stick as close to Miss Plot Armor as possible. I was like, yes, that's exactly what you should do. She's part of this TV show or whatever. And then we get this little insight of Carl trying to talk to Zev, and Zev says, for Carl, she messaged the producers of the show he's on, or that Signet is part of, and it said they didn't want to speak until we see how this plays out. And then said her boss made her run the request by the Syndicate AI referee. And it said that it will allow only this under very strict circumstances. We still don't know what this is, but something Carl's kind of planning here. And then she continues and says, I can't and they can't give you any help whatsoever. But believe it or not, though, this isn't the first time this sort of thing has happened. In fact, ... And then Carl goes, later, Zevs. And like moves on to other things. And I was like, no, why? This is the second time. So this is probably like the most important information in this chapter section. And Carl just doesn't listen. Freaking Carl.
Damn it, Carl.
Oh, yes. What a man. Anyways.
It's kind of funny that he can even cut her off, because if it's just like a chat feature, I'm
text?
picturing it of like, yeah, like text.
Yeah.
It's weird that he'd be able to be like, shut up. Like, it's just gone. Like, oh, okay. You could still go back and read it, though, right? I don't know.
Unless that was him just trailing off, like he just didn't read the rest of the message.
Yeah,
but
maybe,
that's all we get in his POV.
Yeah. I've always imagined them just being more like voice notes, but I guess they are texting
Oh,
Yeah.
it out or whatever.
I don't know.
Because you see Frank
If Donut
Q,
can do it
like,
in all
type
caps.
with his little fingers or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, maybe Zev,
guess
because
it
she's an
is.
agent, does have some sort of like call system. Because
Yeah.
he said that, I think, in the first book that like she surprised him when she talked
Oh,
in
yeah.
his head. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
yeah. Well, and I think just doing the audiobook, hearing the different voices
Yeah.
get read for their chat makes me feel like it's a voice note.
yeah.
But maybe it's not. I don't know. But the chapter section that we have today ends with Carl examining his big top ticket. And at the very end of it says, guaranteed a good time or your money back. And he says, something told me I wasn't going to be having a good time. And that is where we end it. So let's go into our thoughts, characters, world building, favorite things, the writing, the anything. Go for it, John.
Very first thought, I'm kind of digging Serena, so don't know what that says about me.
Collar.
I think she might end up being like a huge help to them after all this. It was interesting to kind of see almost a shift. Like, she seemed kind of menacing, obviously was wanting to just use them for her own purpose. But then we saw, I feel like, that little bit of softer side when she thanked Carl for like releasing Heather from like
yeah.
the stuff
She's
or
family.
the spell or whatever it was. So that was a very interesting slight shift there from her. So maybe she'll help them. Like, obviously they might see her in lower floors as well.
Yeah.
If her TV show or whatever like continues to be televised or whatever. Again, the giraffe took me out, and I could only envision Melman from Madagascar for some reason. So I just thought that was really funny. But I love this new world and design. It's so fun. And like, I'm assuming we'll be on this floor most, if not all of this book, since it's kind of like a shorter book. So whether we do or not, whatever. But I'm super pumped with this whole like it seems like more of an open world, even though like, you know, seeing the sky, it's like fake or whatever, but still it gives you the perspective that it's more of an open world, which is cool. I'm kind of hoping that they get to link up with the Meadowlark group again, even if it's just briefly. I think it would be really fun just to see what Chris and Amani chose and to kind of see what kind of crazy stuff these old people got. And to see what Mrs. McGibbons has turned into. She like picked something, you know. If she remembers Carl, I think that would be kind of funny, since he had it seemed kind of bond a little bit. But I'm really surprised that they did not show either Frank or Maggie on what they ended up choosing on the recap. Very surprised. I think it would have been an interesting like strategy for them to show like one and not the other, just to be like, if one of them picked like something like super stupid, like something super boring, and that's the one they would have showed, knowing that Carl and Donut would have seen that and been like, oh, well, Frank chose something super lame, but then Maggie has chosen just like a beast of a build. And next time they come to, they're just like, oh crap. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I will say real quick too, in line with yours, I'm not sure. I think in the last recap it did say some crawlers were still choosing, so we might still
That's
get
true.
to see
Yeah,
some
that's right.
others later on. But
Good point.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't remember if there's a time limit on that choice for the floor.
Well, they even got in to make their choice 3 hours before
Yeah.
the floor above them closed.
that's
So some
true,
people
yeah.
could have just come in late, all that. So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
yeah.
Con?
Anyways, Con, what you got?
This book is somehow immediately even more insane than book one, and I am here for it. I am not, however, here for Carl and Donut being separated and not knowing. Well, I guess we know where Donut is, but we don't know how Donut is.
We don't know who Donut is.
No, everybody knows who Donut is. I am loving the side quest situation, though, with all the hot tea from the writer's room. Draw me some lore. I'm so excited.
Well, let me start by saying I was a little sad at the beginning of the book when there wasn't little pictures at the beginning of each chapter like there was in book one. I was really loving that, so that's okay. I'll also live off of Kyle's fan art that he keeps putting in our notes here for the episode, so thanks for that, Kyle.
Oh, was that specifically made for the new paperback that's only out for book one? Is that why it's only in the ebook for book one?
I think the...
Or is it in the
They're actually
hardcover?
all in your room right now, Lauren.
No, it's in here.
Oh, okay. Well, they just hate us
Yeah. Oh.
then, I guess.
It's like at the beginning of a chapter or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but not in book
All
two.
right.
But anyways,
So-
I agree with Con that it is immediately more crazy, but I think it's because it's not as surprising since you just
Yeah.
get thrown into the deep end in book one, and so now Matt has free reign to go as wild as he wants to be because you're just kind of in the world and you're just accepting it. Like he had to I don't know. I don't want to say slowly ease you into it because it doesn't really slowly do that, but it was not as weird as much as it was weird
Yeah.
as it was in book two. But anyways,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning so much that I missed in my first read. It's just really helping connect some things for me. And I just continue to laugh through this entire book. Like I just genuinely enjoy reading every single time that I pick it up. So I wrote big top, here we come. Like I'm all for it. Let's do it. What do you got, Kyle?
I sort of echoed what John said earlier about the open world. The book just really opens up after like a fairly hectic and claustrophobic dungeon where you're just like in hallways or in rooms last book. This one feels like fairly, not necessarily this floor, but the fact that it is an urban level. It felt very like holodeck on the Enterprise. Endless possibilities. Like who knows what could come. That when I read this first, I was like, oh man, anything's really possible, huh? Like whenever they change scenes, which got me pretty excited. I'm also right there with Jon and Con about the quests that are now here, the storylines that Carl and Donut can get like tangled up in for the sake of getting those views ups. It's not only like a dungeon slog, but like actual little bits of story and progress there that we get to see, and just the crazy, weird NPCs that I'm sure we'll meet as we continue. And I can't wait to get further in. As always, that's what she said. Theories?
Wow, what a segue.
I have a feeling how we left off. I might have a wild boss emoji in the next chapter section. That's a theory. Possibly in the tent. So that's what I'm expecting anyway. Some type of crazy boss emoji battle. It was really interesting. It sounds like Carl might be familiar with the type of storyline Serena is a part of. Like maybe from his own experience with video games, or like there's a common quest that has to do with this title of a story, Vengeance of a Daughter. And maybe he has a good idea. He was trying to get confirmation because he has a general idea of how the story is laid out. So he kind of knows what to expect. So I'm really interested to see kind of how that develops and what he was thinking, like getting that information. That was really my only kind of thought for theories in this first section.
Nice.
Con?
It sounds like Grimaldi is still alive, and we will get to see him at some point, potentially as one of the biggest bosses that our crew encounters on this floor.
A boss plus.
Boss plus, if you will. The grand boss.
I'm assuming he might be like the borough boss. Since Heather
maybe
was
that's
neighborhood.
the boss emoji battle that we'll get, especially if Scolopendra if that's the giant volcano monster. I would assume that's reserved for later in the game if this floor is something that they come back to. I could see Carl and Donut running into some of the other recap featured crawlers maybe in this book, like maybe Hecla, because we don't know as much about them. But I still think Lucia Mar will be later. I'm just thinking, it seems like because she was introduced so early, I still feel like we're not going to actually run into her until later on. And we'll just keep watching her story in the recaps. But that has been one of my favorite little recap stories to follow so far.
The
Is
recaps are
Lucia
so
Mars?
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Lucia Mars. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I love getting to see all the
Yeah.
other
I do like the
things.
little the glimpses into other parts of the world is fun.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that takes us to the cry counter, which anybody need to claim something? Admit it.
Nope.
You didn't even cry out of fear or terror or okay. Well, you
When
know.
Donut went missing?
Yeah, donut. Oh, all right. Well,
When
More about the
Margot cried for
worms.
her?
maybe next time. All right.
All right. Well, wowie zowie. Now that's entertainment. I bet the next one will be intense. Get it? Makes more sense in writing. Next
Okay.
episode we'll cover. Next episode. we'll
John
cover
made a bearable joke at the beginning of this episode, and then you make an intense joke.
Next episode we'll cover chapters 10 to 17 of Carl's Doomsday Scenario. So make sure you're caught up next week if you're reading along with us. As always, you can find our full episode schedule pinned on Instagram if you'd like to read along with us. We do have Discord channels for both spoiler-free discussion that matches our reading pace and full series spoiler chats where you can spoil yourself and others. You can join us through Patreon to read with us or read ahead.
New achievement. How's it hanging? Well, so far you've learned about a new city, a new map, new monsters, elites. What else is there to say? You'll figure it out. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Between Pages and Friends. Check out betweenpagesandfriends.com for merch, events, and to sign up for our newsletter to keep up with all things happening at BPNF. Until next time, stay wordy, stay nerdy, don't stress, and stay Laha blessed.
Laja bless.
Lodge blessed.
Baja bless.
Baja blessed.
Say Baja Blast.
Baja blessed.
Until next time, stay wordy, stay nerdy, don't stress, and stay Laja blessed.
Goodbye.